What's up guys, my name is Ashes Gamer, and today we will be ranking every Spider-Man game in today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, but anyways, let's get right into the video. For our first game, we have Spider-Man 1 for the PlayStation 1. Now, I have played some of this game before, and I would say this is probably my least favorite Spider-Man game, and here's why. The overall combat of this game is very rough in some instances, and not smooth. Second, the swinging. You're just shooting up in the air, like that's not an ideal swing mechanic. Mainly because when you look at Spider-Man, you probably notice that he shoots his web to building. You don't just see him shooting in the air. And just the face models and the overall gameplay is just not my favorite. And yes, I know this game was made in 2001 and was on the PlayStation 1, but I mean, what do you really expect? So I'm going to put this game in F tier. Next is Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 1. Now, this is my opinion, guys, but this game is just basically a reskin of the last game. I guess the villains are kind of different, the story's changed up, the costumes are like a little different, the UI is still the same. I don't know what else to say. It's just a reskin of the last game. So I'm gonna have to put this game at F tier. Next up is Spider-Man 1, the movie game. Now, this game has gotten way better than the last game, and here's why. The graphics have gotten way better, the swing is still you shooting your webs in the air, the fighting has improved a little, but I will say this, you can't go on the ground. That's the only thing that this game is missing. But even if it had that feature, it still probably wouldn't be my favorite Spider-Man game. But it has gotten way better than the last one I ranked, so I'm gonna have to put this game in C tier. Next is Spider-Man 2. Now, this game has definitely aged good for its time, and here's what I mean. The swing in this game is phenomenal. Probably one of the fastest swing mechanics I've seen in my life. They've also added ragdolls to the game, which isn't the best, but hey, at least you have them. And I also like that there are different missions while you play the story. It's not just based around the story. So I really like this game for its time and how well it's aged up, so I'm gonna have to put this game at A tier. Next up is Ultimate Spider-Man, and I really like this game, and here's why. I appreciate that they opted for a more comic book style of graphics, and the fighting mechanics are enjoyable. There's this really cool feature where you can string thugs up the lamppost in the game, which has a unique dynamic. I also like the smoothness of the web slinging. Overall, this game is really good for a Spider-Man game, so I'm gonna have to put this at A tier. Next is Spider-Man 3. When I was about 7 years old, I remember going to GameStop and specifically picking out this game. I really like this game a lot, especially because I was a Spider-Man 3 fan at the time. Spider-Man 3's gameplay is really good. The web slinging is pretty much the same, but with different air tricks. The fighting is a little different than the other games. It doesn't have the one fighting mechanic where you can string thugs up the lamppost. There are also many side missions in the game, and I really like that. So this game is very good for its time, and I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next up is Spider-Man Friend or Foe. This game is a 2D multiplayer experience, and although I haven't played it myself, I have seen gameplay. The story revolves around an alien substance called meteor shards crashing on Earth. These shards have the power to control minds of those exposed to them. Nick Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D's director, informs Spider-Man that he must team up with his former enemies to combat this alien threat. The story is pretty engaging. Gameplay-wise, it looks fun, especially when playing with friends. The graphics are decent, and while there isn't a web slinging mechanic, the combat seems solid. If you enjoy inviting friends over for a cooperative gaming, this game seems like a good choice. I would place this game at A tier. Next up is Spider-Man Web of Shadows. This game is probably my favorite Spider-Man game, and here's why. In my opinion, the combat mechanics are outstanding. I like the moves that Spider-Man can do, like this 11-punch combo that he does, and the kicks in general. The animations are spot on, and I like that when you change in between the symbiote suit and the normal Spider-Man suit, you get different fighting styles. As for web slinging, it's very smooth, and the added air tricks just makes it perfect. And I also like how you can transition into combat to web slinging. The overall story is also really good for its time. I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next up is Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Now, if you don't know what this game is, it is a video game released in 2010. In the game, players control 4 different versions of Spider-Man from alternate universes, each with its own unique art style and gameplay mechanics. The goal is to retrieve pieces from the mystical artifact called the Tablet of Order and Chaos to prevent its destructive power from falling into the wrong hands. Now, the gameplay of this game is very clean. I like the different art styles of this game. For example, in one of the dimensions you go into, you are playing as Spider-Man Noir, and you get this old mid-70s look to it, and I think that's pretty cool. As for combat, it has a similar vibe to Spider-Man Web of Shadows combat, and I think that's really cool too. Now, there isn't really a web swing mechanic in this game, which is fine, but overall, this game is really good, so I'm gonna have to put this at A tier. Next up is Spider-Man Edge of Time. Spider-Man Edge of Time is a video game that was released in 2011, and it features an original story where Spider-Man from the present and Spider-Man from the year 2099 must work together to prevent a catastrophic event that threatens both of their timelines. Now, the story is great. I like how in one of the scenes, Spider-Man is explaining to Spider-Man 2099 on how to be a good Spider-Man, and if there's ever an opportunity to save someone, they should try to do it. Now, for gameplay, the combat is very similar to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, but overall, this game is very good, so I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next up is The Amazing Spider-Man 1, and I love this game, and here's why. The swinging in this game is really good for its time. Like, it aged really good. The combat has that acrobatic type of look to it, and that just makes it phenomenal. The story has also aged really good for its time too. This game has always been my favorite, so I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now in this game, Spider-Man faces various challenges, including a rise in crime and the emerge of new supervillains. The main antagonists include Kingpin, the Shocker, and Rhino. Amongst other, the overreaching narrative involves a mysterious figure known as the Carnage Killer who is targeting criminals in New York City. Now, the gameplay has a different approach. The web slinging is very different. Instead of pressing RT to shoot webs from each arm, you have the ability to press LT to swing from the left arm, then you have the ability to press RT to swing from the right. So, really different. The combat is pretty much the same, the story is different, and the only thing that's really changed is the swinging and the story. So I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next is Spider-Man for the PS4. Now, Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 was released in 2018 and is an action-adventure game developed by Insomniac Games. The game follows Peter Parker, who has been Spider-Man for 8 years, as he battles crime in New York City. The main antagonist is Mr. Negative, a villain with a persona vendetta against both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Now, first the gameplay. The web swing in this game is awesome. Like, the overall aspect of the swing is just so smooth, and I like that they also added the air tricks into the game. I think the air tricks could have been a little better, but hey, it is what it is. The combat in this game is also very good. I like that they added more kicks to the fighting, and just the story is just super phenomenal. So I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next up is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a video game that was released in 2020 as a standalone follow-up to Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, developed by Insomniac Games. It continues the Spider-Man story, but shifts the focus to Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man. The overall story is really short, which is fine. It's just, I think they could have made it a lot longer. Now the combat. Now before I say anything, this is just my opinion. I think it's better than Spider-Man PS4's combat. Now here's why. The added punches just makes it 10 times better, and the new moves that they added into the game just makes it really good. Now the overall gameplay. This game is really glitchy at times, but hey, I'm not complaining. It's actually really funny. The web sling is phenomenal. The air tricks in this game has aged like wine. Like, in my opinion, the air tricks in this game are probably the best I've seen in my life. So I'm gonna have to put this game at S tier. Next is Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. Now, I don't even know what to say at this point. This game is probably my favorite Spider-Man game, and here's why. They've added so many features in the game, like the wingsuits, a theme park that you can actually ride. Like, what more could you ask for? And the tutorial in this game. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the best tutorial in Spider-Man games, and here's why. They have Sandman in the tutorial. Now, I know you guys might be thinking, it's Sandman, how does that make it the best tutorial in Spider-Man games? And I'm about to tell you why. One, the tutorial is actually fun. Like, it's not boring like all the other tutorials that you've seen in Spider-Man games. Two, Sandman. Like, he should be a boss fight if anything. Now, okay, I'm probably overreacting, but it is a really good tutorial. Now the web slinging. Now this is going to be hard to pick because it kind of has resemblance to Spider-Man PS4 swinging and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Well, I'm just going to say Spider-Man 2 swinging in this instance because it's really new, and I think they added new animation to the game. And there's still more to this game. So, like, if I went over every possible feature that they added in this new Spider-Man game, it would be a really long video. So I'm going to put this game in S tier. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see all of you guys in the next video. Peace.